much. Thank you so much for your work. It's incredibly comprehensive. Okay. Right, next we move to the Community Social Housing Update Report through to the end of April. So welcome Bruce and Kate.
So thank you for having us. For a change, I'm trying not to talk, and I'm going to let Lisa Washington, who is my housing team, to lead this with Kate. But I'm here in case there's any questions I need to assist with.
Yes, the housing team of one. I haven't got too much to say over and above the report. I would just like, I guess, to point out that we are coming up to our 1 year anniversary of the change that we put in place with OCHT taking over all the major maintenance as well as the tenancy management and the minor maintenance. I think there has been some bumps along the road, but I actually think the relationship is working really well. I think the process is working well, and there's some really positive changes and stuff that are coming out of that. And with that, I think, it's giving council, it's giving us the opportunity to look at strategically like where we're going. And I think you saw that yesterday with building the relationships with OCHT and Christchurch NZ and other partners to work along that housing continuum to get from social housing and affordable housing in those mixed tenures. So I think it's exciting times ahead there. I would, I guess, just point out, there is probably, the housing fund, it is still sustainable. If you look at the funding, it is, we have pointed out that it is low, but it's nothing that we hadn't already projected in our funds. We're still sustainable. These next couple of years will be tight, but we're aware of that and we're working towards that. But the reason it is low is because we have done some really good work in that healthy home space. We're in the process of, upgrading the units, making the units more fit for purpose. And I'll segue into Kate here because I know she's got some figures hot off the press about tenant satisfaction survey results, and I think that will show in where we're going as a team, I guess, with that.
So just further to what Lisa has mentioned, this will be the first year that council has been able to upgrade homes outside of your earthquake repair program. So we are out upgrading, giving half-life renewals to interiors and exteriors, and the feedback we're getting from tenants is really, really impressive, to the point that tenant satisfaction with their units this year is 82%. Now, if you think back a few years ago, it was in the high 60s. Last year, we had a target of 70%. We achieved 79%, and that was again because of running the warm and dry program. When you look at the stats for satisfaction with the warmth and dryness of their homes, it's 94% satisfied with the heat pumps that have been installed. 87% of tenants believe their homes are warm and dry. That is significantly different than any feedback we've ever actually had in a tenant survey before. So as Lisa said, we're working together really well with the team of one. Lisa's having to cover our team of 50. We're doing really good work together. It has been a big year for us, just setting up the systems, setting up the teams. We believe our performance will improve again next year. We'll get to the targets for timeliness that we're all wanting to achieve, because we want to get homes upgraded and move on as quickly as possible so that we don't disturb our tenants too much. So kia ora, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, and there's going to be some questions. So Pauline, then Andrew.
Thank you for this great report, very positive. Just want to ask you some questions about energy light bulbs. So obviously, can you clarify that when you upgrade a unit completely, you switch to LEDs, I would assume?
Yes.
Yeah, so when you actually go in and just do some tinkering with some units that just need a little bit of repair, do you then upgrade the LED to LED, or do you just put in LED light bulbs? Do you know?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Councillor Cotter. So if we're doing a full upgrade, we will change all the light bulbs out for LEDs. If it's a vacant turnaround, depending on whether there is anything that needs to be fixed We may upgrade some, we may not. I've got a number here actually. The vacant replacements, 620 units have had LED lights replaced, which is about 1,000 lamps. And as well as that, we ran a pilot project with Anglican Care, and that was just to see if by door knocking tenants' doors and offering them LED lights, would they be interested in us swapping them all out. So that was in 2019. We door knocked 80 homes. 60 of those homes said, yes, please come in, and they had an upgrade of their lights. So I suppose we could say we're getting to about, just very rough figures, maybe half of the portfolio may have LEDs now.
Right. I think that program the Christchurch Agency for Energy funded that.
Yes.
And that was just for bulbs,
Yes.
not the actual when you switch the whole unit over, which you obviously do when you do a complete renewal. So it is on your radar and you do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Andrew?
Thank you. Bruce, this is for you, and I've highlighted that it might be coming already. Going back to 2018, there were some issues raised by particularly councillors Davidson and Johansson regarding the earthquake settlement on social housing. And it was thought at that time that there might be justifiable claims for additional payments relating in particular to asbestos removal, structural damage that wasn't apparent at that time, and damage to services that was not known at the time of settlement. As part of tidying up I'm doing of outstanding matters, I've raised this a number of times, most recently in mid-May, but I understand that you're able to give an update or a follow-up to that as part of this item today.
Yep, and apologies, Lisa gave me an update in last week, but I haven't had a chance to get that through to you, so apologies on that.
No problem.
So the current state is we have got our claim in, it's been accepted within the time limits, so there's no concerns about the claim being there. There's been acceptance that part of the claim is valid, and there's requests for more evidence for the rest of the claim, particularly around asbestos and some of the engineering works. So this basically comes from that in 2012, when we were doing the settlement, there was high-level estimates made on both what the asbestos would be in a particular building and what the engineering solution would be. When we've actually done the work, there's been more asbestos required in some case, or more asbestos found in some cases, and different engineering solutions have been accepted. So we're now having, and what's taking our time, and we need to address this further, so I'll go away and work on this to how we can do it, is finding the evidence and being able to show to a high degree of evidence that there has been that change in the amount of asbestos and why that's occurred, and similarly why we chose different engineering processes. It's taken too long, so my apologies on that. This sits with me. We'll work with EQC to finalise that, but I can assure you that the claim has been accepted and that parts of it have already been agreed. It's just the final quantum that we haven't agreed, as we need to get that last remaining evidence.
So what does governance oversight of that look like? Is this something that should be reported to Finance and Performance or the Insurance Subcommittee?
How about we commit to putting it into this report on an ongoing basis so that you've got that visibility?
Thank you.
Okay, we're not quite sure where this report will land next term, but will there be another one in sort of September-ish that goes to council?
Next one would be November, but we can,
New council.
yeah,
Yeah.
we can get it through to the council, and then if there's a change in committee structure, that we can then get the appropriate committee that it goes to.
No, that's great. And as part of that, can we start looking at, I know we often talk in units, but we don't talk in capacity. And I think that as the portfolio has changed over time, it would be really good if we could start taking into account the number of bedrooms, if you like, rather than units, because I think that will tell a slightly different story. And if we could have that alongside as part of that data, that's probably quite useful.
Because you asked the question yesterday, Councillor, I thought, right, better go away and find out how many bedrooms we have. So I can say we've got 2,800 bedrooms, which is different from the reporting we give of the number of homes we have.
Yeah, and do we know how that compares to the number of bedrooms we had pre-quake? I didn't ask that yesterday, so I don't expect you to have that.
I can probably work that out for us and bring it to a next report.
Yeah, I think that would be really useful because the units have changed their makeup over time as well. Councillor Johansson.
Thank you. Just on page 25 on 7.2 under work program, 7.3, 54 units are closed due to age, condition, financial viability. The future of these buildings is currently being considered as part of new build financing options. And it goes on to talk about a number of those. So I had two questions relating to that. Is anything not being done because we don't have the finances to do it?
I don't believe that there is anything not being done. Things can be sped up if there was different finances.
So if there was
but the work is being done, and the key ones from the points you've raised there relate to the Carey Street complex, which we'll be reporting a proposal to go through on the 14th of July. It also relates to the Andrews Street, Andrews Crescent area, where we are working with a partner to do some developments on, but not yet at a stage to be able to bring that through. And Sandylands, which we are working with a partner on as well. Dates, I think, probably around September.
That's September, hopefully.
We hope to be able to bring that finally back with a proposal around that date for those ones. So that the work is occurring on those sites and fitting futures.
Just to be clear, could you do more if you had more money available?
Officers are always going to say yes to that answer. I think that what we need to be discussing is how we structure this so that the appropriate level of ongoing funding is coming through. The funding that the portfolio gets at the moment, just over 50% is on grandparented rents, where the tenants pay around about 70% of their incomes. And 70% of market rent for those, which can have quite a large impact on their income. Those units are not sustainable. There are other 46% funded through IRS contracts, where there is a government subsidy which ensures that OCHT gets 100% of market rentals, and the tenants only pay 25% of their income. Those tenants are in a much better off position, and overall, that 46% means that we can get a financially sustainable portfolio. What we need to be keeping on working on is trying to get the better outcome for the tenants, which is more of them on the IRS, which would put more funds into the system and allow for working that through. So we're working on some various ideas around that, and we'll continue to do that, but that's a fairly significant change which needs central government to be the leader on that. In the meantime, we're looking more at what are the things that we can do to develop and increase the number of units and grow the number of units to meet that shortfall on the waiting list. The Trust has recently written to the Mayor on that, and and we received that last week, and I'm looking at providing advice through to Council shortly on that matter.
Thanks so much. That's really comprehensive. Councillor Davidson.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up on Andrew's questions, and I don't expect you to have the answer on the top of your head, but do you know if with the services the average price per unit that was settled on?
No,
that's fine. But it'd be good if we can get that. But also,
we need to dig back into the 2012 settlement on that. Yeah.
Okay. The other one. Did we have insurance? Obviously, this is outside the EQC, but insurance on the driveways and other hard surfaces.
Again, I don't know the answer to that off the top of the head. We'd have to take that on notice, Councillor.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any further questions on the report? No, in that case, I would just like to say thank you for coming in, and thank you for Kate and your team at OCHT. It's been a pleasure this term to watch progress and to come to several groundbreakings and then openings. And I know that there's sometimes a concern that we, cluster social housing in some areas, and that's not the case with the work that OCHT is doing. And I note that the openings that we've been to this term have been in Brome Street in Sydenham, the 90 homes, Te Waiwaka Lane in St Martin's, Register Well Place in New Brighton, Gowerton Place in Richmond, Coles Place in St Albans, and I think they've all been excellent outcomes for the community, and I look forward to the next ones. So thank you very much. Do I have a mover for the report? Councillor Davidson and Councillor Turner to second. Deputy Mayor Turner sitting there over there. All those in favour? Any against?
Aye.
I declare that carried. Thank you very